today's video we're going to take you on the new 50k course for the UTS, which is new for 2023, and we're on the first climb out of Llanberis on the tarmac road, which lots of you will know. It is, according to the watch, a 20% climb. So if you're running up this at the beginning of the, well, definitely the 100k or the 100 miler, then good luck to you. Probably the 50k too, unless you're right at the front maybe. But yeah, decent climb to get your heart rate going, and then you're out onto the mountain. As you can see, if you've not been on the Llanberis path before, that after it kicks up for about 20 minutes worth of solid climbing, steeper climbing, probably about 15 to 20% gradient, it does level off for a bit. You've probably got 5 or 10 minutes just to chill out a bit, get your heart rate down, unless you want to push on, which some of you might. Whether, it doesn't matter what distance you're doing, now would be a good time just to relax, take on your first bit of food or gels or whatever, get your kit sorted, because yeah, it does flatten out for a bit, and then you'll get climbing again. You can see I've stripped off, I'm sweating already, and it's not even April yet. It does start to get a little bit steeper the further up your mountain you get, but a lot of it is good paths, like you can see, or slabs, boulders, that kind of thing. Not too much loose stuff. That only really happens once you cross the train track or the railway track. No views today, unfortunately, but it is just mist, not too much rain either. So you can see the railway line there, just after Alt Moses, it's called. I think about 7k up, but more importantly, about 700 metres high now. So if you've gone off too quick, now is when you're going to feel it, because it steepens up. Bit of loose kind of rock. We have done a lot of work on it in the last year or two, especially in the lockdown, so it's a lot better than it was. But yeah, just take your time on this bit, because once you get to the finger post, you're turning down the path, and yeah, you get to completely change your muscle groups and go downhill. Finally, the path starts to level out a little bit, but you don't actually reach the summit this time, the first time up, Wyddfa. I think that's how we pronounce it, being Welsh, but I know I keep saying Snowdon in this video, so I'll try and stick to Wyddfa now in hindsight. This is the track down, and it's the miners and the pig track. They both kind of converge at the top here. Yeah, not the greatest camera handling skills, but yeah, just take your time, because now you've been going up for so long, you will just need to get your muscles used to dropping down the other side of the mountain now. So now I am on the lower slopes going towards Pennerpass car park, and it gets a lot easier. So if you have been a little bit frustrated at the bigger boulders, lots of steps, sharp jagged rocks sticking up, and you feel like you're not making any progress at all, then just take your time, because it does get easier as the path gets lower. And then especially when you hit Pennerpass, which I'll show you in a minute, the path gets a lot easier again, and you've got a lot of downhill from the finger post at the top of Snowdon till by the time you hit Llyn Gwynant, right down the other side, before you start coming up again. So yeah, the theme of the first few hours is just taking it easy and not trashing yourself for the bits that are runnable, or the easier hiking later on, if there is any at all. But yeah, the mist seems to have lifted a little bit now, so I'm going to crack on and I'll show you the path after Pennerpass. the path down to Llyn looks like. A lot easier compared to when you come off Snowdon down and walk in, but you still have to be careful. And it's single track, so if there's lots of you around, and yeah, just be careful of other people, I guess, slamming the brakes on. But yeah, it's a nice run down towards Llyn. Again, like I say, I've been running down for a good while now from that finger post, so if you are not used to running down for an hour or an hour and a half, or for some of you it might even be longer, then just be very cautious, because there's, like I say, not too much flat running in this race. I've got the, what have I got on? Innovate G220 Ultras, I don't know. I'll put it in the comments, but I did the review for them a while ago, and although they're not great on the mud, up to now they've been perfect, because they have got a bit of stickiness on the wet rock, and yeah, it'd be a good test. Now it's getting a bit more sloppy the further down the valley we get, so I'd be willing to take a bit slower in the sloppy stuff, so that I can move a bit faster over the wet rock, which there will be plenty of. Yeah, that is my thoughts so far, but they've been alright. So this is boggy and wet, and as long as I take my time down it, I'm not slipping around at all. But you can't bomb down it, and then yeah, nobody should be doing that, especially my race, 100 miler. But the jury is out of what I'm going to put on my feet so far. Okay, I'll show you the bottom in a minute. Once you do hit the bottom, you finally hit this nice manicured gravel path for what I reckon all of a kilometre or maybe 10 minutes worth of running. But yeah, it does feel nice to really open up your legs a little bit and just give them a stretch more than anything, rather than trying to run too fast. It's right at the bottom of the valley. You're joining the lane, which you've had some good running for what? Oh, they treat you to a kilometre on the flat, maybe, slightly downhill. And then this lane is bringing back some horrible memories, if I'm honest, or maybe good memories, because in the Dragon's Back race, day one, we get brought down here to finish day one. And although I was in good shape going into it last year, I had the worst, possibly the worst racing day I've ever had. And for whatever reason, my body didn't want to play ball, and I'd suffered full body cramps, which I've probably talked about in other videos. But yeah, I remember hitting there and thinking, by that point, I didn't even know I was going to start day two, because my whole body had just shut down, and the campsite is down there. But today, you are, well, I guess you're a good chunk into the 50k, but the good thing about this recce is that even if you're doing the 100k or the 100 miler, it will take you this way. So I think it is the last 30k of the 100 and maybe the last 40k of the 100 mile. So yeah, it's useful for anyone to see this bit onwards, I guess. Unfortunately, those nice paths don't last too long, but when you do go up and around the side of Llyn, it's not too bad going. It's had lots of rain recently, so it's wet and it's sloppy and it's muddy on the day that I've been, and you just have to pick your way around like wet roots and big boulders like you can see. But outside of that, it's just a nice low level path around the lake, which you don't often get to use, I guess. You do gain a little bit of height, so you get a good view of the lake eventually. And then those of you that are feeling good and want to gain a little bit of ground, it's nice and runnable, even when it's a bit sticky underfoot. With the recent rain, you'll still be able to get into a good rhythm, hopefully. I'm not sure of the timings, but if you come across some of the 100 milers, they might be on a bit of a death march, so you might have to look out for those. But yeah, nothing too technical at all. You just have to pick your way through the single track, and then you will be, yes, moving on towards the Watkin Path. So as you come away from Llyn Gwynant, or at least the last kind of few bumpy bits along the side of the lake, it is quite slow going. If it is as wet as it is today, it's just sticky, sloppy stuff. So yeah, although it might look really flat on the profile, there is little rises and stuff, and I mean, I went off route then, not that massively. All roads lead to Rome, and it'll be marked on the day, but you don't want to be gaining height for no reason. But then you will join this nice lane again. So yeah, I've got the poles out again ready, because there is the next big climb coming up towards the South Ridge, and top of Snowdon this time rather than just the finger post. Yeah, so that is the Watkin path down there that you leave, come up, then you get this nice little path in between the rocks on the mountain. Oops, sorry. And we're heading up towards the South Ridge, so it won't take us long, to be honest. Just come up this path here, and here is where it starts to steepen until you get up here through that little gully. That's when it's yeah, you know you're on the Snowdon path again then, and it's steepening up. So again, you just have to take one step at a time, and if you're in the 50k, you're in the meaty part of the race now, obviously going up Snowdon for the second time. If you're in the 100 miler, like I would be, God knows what I'm going to feel like. Yeah. So for those of you that do get a view on the day, hopefully in May we'll get a view, just don't forget to look back and yeah, see everyone else suffer further down while you look up, maybe at the odd bum that you can try and catch. I don't know what the sound is like on this GoPro, so hopefully you can hear me, but if you, well, not if, when you get to this point is when you'll need to pack your poles away, because it's much easier just to get a hand down on some of these rocks. And although it's been raining, they're not too slippy, especially if you've got a sticky shoe on. So you just have to, well, it'll be marked on the day, but just pick your way around up onto the ridge, and yeah, you'll be fine. Fingers crossed you do get better views on the day, but even if not, it is a fun ridge to move over. Now you've got to remember, I'm using the GoPro here, so the fisheye lens does make it look a little bit more dramatic than it actually is. You don't really need to be scared of anything, and it's more enjoyment factor than scare factor for hopefully every single one of you. There are a few sections where you might want to put your hand down just for a bit of extra balance, but overall I think it is just around 500 meters worth. So once you are through and over that, you are off up to Snowdon Summit or Withfer Summit. Finally, you will hit the Summit Cafe. There it is, just in the mist. Hopefully you will have a bright clear day, but even if it is misty or cloudy, yeah, you can't really miss it. You will hit the summit, and then it will be time to make your way down. Once you've hit this summit, you will have covered about 2,000 meters of your day. So yeah, significant bit of climbing so far, and you are coming up to around halfway around the route. My plan now is just to run straight down Llanberis path back to where I started, and then I'm going to cover part 2 of the 50k for you in the next video. So take a look out for that, and any questions, stick them in the comments below.